everyone, and welcome to the day number 2 of AI21 Studio Hackathon at lablab.ai. And I'm happy to kick off this day with amazing talk. And first of all, I will tell you agenda of today's talk. So first of all, we will have Yotam, who will tell about how to make from a good project the great one. And after that, we'll have Fabian, who is part of lablab.ai devs team. And he will have tutorial how to build a simple app using AI21 API. And after that, we'll have our lovely Nasty, who will make for us Discord workshop. If you have still some concerns regarding Discord and regarding our platform, you will have an opportunity to ask the questions here in Twitch channel, and we will be happy to answer to you. And just don't lose the time. I'm really excited to start this day with Yotam. And first of all, hi, happy to have you here. And he's a development advocate at AI21 Studio. And I hope you will tell us more about you and about your work there. We are really, really excited to hear from you. And your topic will be how to make from the normal project from the good one, really great project that can win this hackathon. So we were really happy to hear that, to hear your tips from you. And guys, after the talk, we'll have Q&A session. So feel free to write the questions in chat now during the talk, and I will be happy to share them during this Q&A session. So to don't lose the time, I'm just giving the stage for you, and you may kick off.
Thank you, Alessia. Well, let's start. I hope that you're all psyched. Welcome everyone. So as Alessia already introduced me, I'm Yotam. I'm a developer advocate at AI21 Labs. I'm part of the team behind AI21 Studio, which is the platform that serves the state-of-the-art Jurassic 1 models, which you'll all be working with during this hackathon. I am truly thrilled to have so many talented and passionate generative AI enthusiasts from all over the world joining us for this event. We've been preparing it for a long time, and now that it's starting, I can't express enough how excited I am to see all of you here. So let's begin, shall we? Okay, so as this big title here says, today I will be covering some of the characteristics of an outstanding project, how to take a good project and turn it into an outstanding one. But before I start this workshop, I want to take a moment to talk about creativity and innovation. Now, as developers, I know that we don't have just developers participating in this hackathon, but let's talk about developers as a general term for people who are creating new projects, new applications, new software. Rather, even if you are UX designers or you are a data-driven people, we still find ourselves caught in day-to-day work or study building and maintaining systems. But hackathons like this are one great opportunity to break out of the mold and think outside the box. And when you're deciding on the concept of your project, I encourage you to expand your horizons and push the boundaries of what you think is possible. This hackathon is all about generative AI, and I believe that we can all agree that this technology has the potential to revolutionize the way we live and the way we interact with machines generally. So as you begin brainstorming and planning your projects, don't be afraid to think big. The possibilities are endless, and I can't wait to see what you all will come up with. So today we will be discussing what sets truly great projects apart from the rest. We'll be exploring the key components that make up the foundation of a successful project. I like to call these components the pillars of a great project, which includes innovative concept, and that is definitely useful. Now, innovative concept, the first pillar of an outstanding project is a unique and imaginative idea. We will discuss some of the ways that Jurassic 1 models, Jurassic 1, in case some of you haven't heard already, are the state-of-the-art series of language models that AI21 Labs and AI21 Studio, that's the department inside AI21 Labs that serves our Jurassic 1 models, the ones that you'll all be working with during this hackathon. So we will discuss some of the ways that these Jurassic 1 models can be used to bring fresh and innovative concepts to life, and definitely useful. The second pillar of a great project is its ability to address real-world issues or pain points. We'll see how you can use your technical skills, any technical skill, to make a real impact on people's lives by solving a real problem, revealing a real pain, or enhancing an existing functionality. Beautiful code. The third pillar of a great project is a well-structured and readable code. It is important for developers to be able to understand and maintain the code base easily. And of course, superb documentation. Superb documentation that is well written for developers as well as end users. The final pillar of a great project is its documentation, which should be clear, concise, and easy to understand for both developers and end users. And with these pillars in your mind, we'll explore ways to bring your ideas into life and take your projects to the next level. So let's begin by diving into the first two pillars. Now, when it comes to creating a project for this hackathon, it's important to remember that a truly outstanding project starts with a unique and imaginative idea. But coming up with that idea can be easier said than done, I know. So here are some things to keep in mind as you brainstorm and come up with a concept for your project. First, let's talk about the things you should probably avoid. So here are my don'ts. Don't copy, be original. That's the first thing. One big pitfall to watch out for is building another version of an existing product or feature. Unless you have a truly unique twist on the idea or plan to recreate it in a very different way, it's best to come up with something new and original. My advice here is this: do some research and make sure that your idea hasn't been already built by someone else before you start building it. Another thing to avoid when coming up with an idea for your project is trying to tackle too many things at once. It's easy to get excited about all the possibilities that large language models such as Jurassic 1 offer and want to include everything in your project, but trying to do too many things at once can make your project feel scattered and disjointed. Instead, focus on one or two key features and ideas and do them well. By narrowing your focus, you'll be able to create a project that is more polished and cohesive. And additionally, by focusing on a smaller set of features rather than many, you'll be able to iterate and improve on them more effectively, rather than spreading yourself just too thin, you know? But with that being said, don't hesitate to think big. Remember, even if you only manage to submit a minimum viable project, and we'll discuss further about this later when we'll talk about the Rick and Morty episode generator. So a minimum viable project, an MVP, as they call it in the industry, that's okay. You can go with this. You can always come back and complete the missing pieces after the hackathon, just like Twitter started as a hackathon MVP, for those who weren't aware of that fact. I always love to mention this fact. Now let's talk about the things you should keep in mind when coming up with your idea. So here are my list of do's. One thing that's helpful is to brainstorm with your team. Share your fields of interest and try to combine them with those of your teammates when choosing the theme or topic of your project. When everyone in the team is passionate about the chosen project and the theme of it, it makes the project much more enjoyable to work on. Another key step in creating a successful project is to conduct a thorough research on your chosen theme or subject and to plan ahead. What I mean by this is taking the time to really think about your project from all angles, including identifying potential obstacles or challenges that you might encounter during the development process. This can include things like researching industry trends and best practices, understanding your target users and their needs, and identifying any technical limitations or requirements that your project may have down the road. By doing this research in advance and planning ahead, you'll be able to better understand, you'll just have a better grip and better understanding of what you need to focus on when building your project. And you'll be more prepared to overcome any obstacle that may arise down the road. And Let's get to the third important thing here. When developing your project, it's important to consider the end user's perspective. As you progress in your planning and development, take the time to ask yourself if the final product will be something new, refreshing, and surprising from the end user's point of view. This will help you to ensure that your project not only solves a problem or enhancing a functionality that already exists, but also provides an exciting and unique experience to the end user. Now, in summary, when creating a project for this hackathon, be creative, think big and unique. Do your research. I'm sorry that I'm counting too many fingers here, but do your research and think from an end user perspective. It is important to avoid doing something that's been done before and to make sure that you're solving a real problem or pain point. And with these tips in mind, I'm confident you'll come up with something truly outstanding. Now let's dive into a few real-world application examples. Let's start with AI Dungeon. AI Dungeon is a great example of how powerful language models can be when it comes to creating innovative and engaging experiences. The use of Jurassic 1 models allows the game, they use Jurassic 1 models in the game, and it allows them to generate endless plots, characters, and stories, making each playthrough unique and exciting. The game's creators, Latitude, have found ways to harness the capabilities of AI21 Studio to create a text-based adventure game experience that is truly one of a kind. Let me slow this down a little bit, just so while I talk, you can follow through on everything that's happening here. So let's do this. Yeah, 105 is excellent. Now, one of the key elements that makes AI Dungeon stand out is that it's not just a fun game, but it also addresses a real-world problem. Many text-based adventure games like this one, the players of these games find it difficult to come up with new stories and ideas for their game. AI Dungeon solves this problem by providing an endless source of inspiration and plot twists. Another important aspect of AI Dungeon is that it reveals a real pain. Playing text-based adventure games can be a lot of fun, but it also requires a lot of preparation and organization. AI Dungeon takes care of all this behind-the-scene work, allowing players to focus on what really matters, the story and the characters. Overall, AI Dungeon is an outstanding project that demonstrates how language models can be used to create innovative and engaging experiences. It is a great example of how innovative concepts that solve real problems and reveal real pains can enhance an existing functionality and lead to a great project. And one more thing you should know. Latitude, the creators of this game, found the idea and combined together as a team in a hackathon, just so you know. And today, this is probably the leading D&D online game in the world. Let's go next to the next example. Let me just see that it follows through. Okay, Verb. Verb is another great example of how large language models, and especially Jurassic 1, can be used in an application to relieve a pain, and in this case, writer's block. The team behind this clever online service identified the need for a tool that can help writers overcome writer's block and they came up with Verb. By incorporating Jurassic 1 models, the tool is able to generate new ideas and suggestions for writers, providing them with inspiration and fresh perspectives. One of the key features of Verb is its ability to understand the context and tone of a piece of writing. This allows the tool to generate ideas that are relevant and fitting for the specific project a writer is currently working on. This feature is one of the most significant advantages of using Jurassic 1 models, as they can understand and generate text that is coherent and consistent with the given context. Another unique aspect of Verb is that it can provide suggestions for different types of writing, such as fiction, nonfiction, even poetry. This versatility makes it a valuable tool for writers of all genders and styles. Now, Verb is a great example of how large language models can be used to elevate a real pain. It helps writers overcome their writer's block by providing them with inspiration and fresh ideas. The team behind this tool identified a need and came up with a clever solution that utilizes the capabilities of Jurassic 1 models. It is a great example, in my perspective, of how innovative concepts, solving real problems, and enhancing existing functionality can lead to another great project. And I encourage all of you to go and check it and check out both Verb and AI Dungeon if you haven't had the chance to play with them beforehand. Now let's dive into one more example, and then we'll talk about the other pillars. So, Coach Me. I'm guessing that most of you haven't heard about Coach Me unless you are South Africans. But if you don't, let me tell you, Coach Me was created by Harambee. It is a smart chatbot that uses AI21 Studio's Jurassic 1 language models to help young adults in South Africa prepare for job interviews and land their first job. This chatbot was developed to address the issue of unemployment among young South Africans and to bridge the gap between unemployed individuals with no experience and perfectly trainable and employable individuals. The chatbot, Coach Me, was designed to provide a conversation-based learning experience that uses evidence-based techniques to affect measurable behavior change in its users. This is such a long line. I'll explain. One of the key features of Coach Me is its ability to understand the context of each conversation and build trust with the individuals that interact with it and respond naturally, guiding them towards their career goals. This feature is made possible by the use of AI21 Studio's Jurassic 1 models, which can understand and generate text that is coherent and consistent with the given context, just like Verb and AI Dungeon. Coach Me was developed as a solution to the problem of unemployment among young South Africans during the pandemic, when face-to-face processes were not possible anymore. The chatbot helped Harambee to increase the conversion rate by 20%. That's a lot in signups, and by creating a new virtual onboarding process that was low touch yet incredibly authentic. In conclusion, Coach Me is a great example of how large language models can be used to elevate a real pain, in this case, unemployment among young adults. It is a clever solution that utilizes the capabilities of Jurassic 1 models to provide a personalized, conversation-based learning experience that guides individuals towards their career goals. It demonstrates how innovative concepts, solving real problems, and enhancing an existing functionality, in this case, chatbots, can lead to a great project. Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about the Rick and Morty episode generator. Those of you who participated yesterday in Yuval's workshop got the chance to had a glimpse on that. Maybe some of you already cloned this project from our GitHub repo. It's an open source. I'll talk about it probably a lot more during this hackathon, but we encourage all of you to throw in your PRs and make it better, because this is a great example of an MVP, a minimum viable product. The way that we see it, you can all submit a project that incorporates Jurassic 1 models in a simple but yet useful, in a useful function. In this case, we created this generator to show you how you can, by 3 simple API calls, build a one-pager game. In this case, I know that it's not very useful for the help of the world, but it is fun, and you can use it to make something that is unique and fun and pretty easy to build and manage. Let me take you to the code base for starters. you know what? We'll talk about the code base in a second. Let's talk about the GitHub repo first. So I need to move out from the presentation. We'll get to the GitHub repo in a moment. First of all, this is the project. This is how it looks. Those of you who haven't seen it before, you just generate a title. Let me just check that I have my API key pasted. I don't. So let me grab my API key. One moment, please. You know what? This is a good example to show all of you how to grab your API key after you open your account in AI21 Studio. It's very easy. I'm guessing most of you already tried it. You just go to your account page. I encourage you not to steal my private API key, but you just grab your API key from your account page, and that's it. You have it. I'll take this back to the sidebar. And I'm watching all of you on Twitch at the same time, so I need to fix my window up here. Okay, so I copied my API key. Now I can play the game. Here, for those who are not sure where to find it, if you're gonna play with the code base later, you have a link over here to find your own API key. So now the game is running locally on my machine and is comprised of 3 stages. First of all, the Jurassic 1 generated a made-up title for a Rick and Morty episode. And based on the title, now the next API call is generating a plot, like a summary for the page. It's gonna for the episode. It's going to tell me what happens in this imaginary episode that doesn't exist, but was created. The title was created, and this is used in the prompt. I'm not going to dive into the prompt engineering behind this. I'm going to talk about the code a little bit, about the engineering itself. But now when I will generate a plot for an episode that's called The Seasonal Ass Kicker, I don't like this title. I'm going to generate a new title. Rumple's Why Not? Let's generate another one until I will like it. Mr. Meeseeks goes to Washington. I love this title. So now the next API call will generate a plot for the episode based on this made-up title. It takes a few seconds because we're sending an API call for the Grande model, and now we have a full-on plot. And now the third button will generate will evoke the less function in this one-pager game. It will generate the end scene, the funny part that happens after the credits in every Rick and Morty episode. It will generate what happens in this last scene based on everything that happens here in the plot. I'm not going to read all of it, but I encourage all of you to go ahead and play with it a little bit. And there we have it. So this is the whole application. It creates a made-up title, then it creates a made-up plot that is based on the title, and then it creates a made-up end scene, post-credit scene, based on the plot. For those who aren't familiar with the word plot, this is how we call a summary of anything that happens in a movie or in a TV series. This is the project. You can all just clone it and or fork it. You can find you can learn how to clone it and play it in the README file. And I will dive deeper into the code base in a few seconds. But before we go there, let's go back to the presentation and talk a little bit about the meaning of good code or beautiful code, and of course, documentation. So let's get back to it. Let me just get back my presentation view over here. We need to go back. We were not here. I'm sorry for this hiccup. Okay. This is something that I've added to the presentation just now. It's an idea that Yuval had that you can all think about when incorporating AI21 Studios API to your projects. Feel free to be creative and integrate open source projects and external APIs to the project that you will submit. In this case, Yuval just used the plot that was generated by the Rick and Morty generator. He used it as a prompt in Midjourney. So this is a good example of what happens when you just take the plots that our app created and you throw it into Midjourney. Midjourney understands what's going on, and oh no, sorry. I'm using my mouse too easily. This is a great example of how you can incorporate, in this case, Midjourney and AI21 Studio. This is another example. Something happens in the plot, and Midjourney creates a few options of visuals of what happens there. Use your imagination. This is all I'm saying. Okay, we still have two more pillars. You remember? Let's get back to them. Okay, so maintaining a beautiful code. When building a project, it's important not to focus just on its functionality, but also on the quality of the code. A well-structured and readable code not only makes it easier to maintain and update the project, but it also makes it more attractive to potential collaborators, employers, investors, whatnot. Eventually, you will take the projects that you are submitting. They're still yours. You can use them in the real world. Think about it and keep it in mind. One way to ensure beautiful and readable code is to follow best practices, such as using consistent ideation and naming conventions and commenting your code. We will see it in a moment. And breaking it down into smaller, reusable functions and components. Another great practice is to use tools that can automate the process of enforcing code style and consistency, such as Tab9, such as GitHub Copilot, such as GitLens, such as Linter. Remember all these when starting to work on your code. Another best practice is to use version control systems. I hope you all use some sort of Git control version, but if you don't, it's never too late to incorporate it in. This will allow developers to keep track on changes that made in the code base and collaborate with other developers and easily revert to previous versions in case of bugs or errors. It's also important to keep your code up to date with the latest technologies and trends. Using libraries and frameworks that are widely adopted into the industry can greatly simplify the development process and improve performance. So in short, building a project with a beautiful and well-structured and readable code is essential for its long-term success. By following best practices, using modern tools, and keeping your code base up to date, you can create a project that not only works well, but is also easy to understand, maintain, and improve. And I want to elaborate a little more about the things that I just mentioned. So let's dive in shortly into the code base of the Rick and Morty generator. So for that, I will need to show you my VS Code. I will enlarge the fonts here a little bit just to make sure that you can all see it. Let's take this file, for example. I hope you can all see it well. This is an example of a piece of code in the project that I wrote. I'm not saying that I'm a great developer. Actually, I'm a mediocre developer. But I do know I do know some rules about what makes a good code. So here's an example of how I built a pretty lousy code. First of all,
Yotam, let me
yeah.
just double check because we can't see your code.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that it's
I think
correctly now. Are you sharing the screen?
I'm sharing the screen, but I think that the problem is that I'm just sharing the presentation as a view. Maybe I should share the whole screen
Yes,
instead.
please. Yeah,
Okay,
would be
so
better.
let me fix it here. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, one moment. I'm sorry about this, guys. Change windows, I think, right? I should probably show you this right now. Okay, now you can see my code, right?
Yes, yes, we can. That is
Great.
great.
Okay, I will turn it. I will return back to the presentation afterwards. So, as I said before, this is a good example of what makes bad code. I know that for some of you, this is nothing new. The developers among you will probably find this part pretty boring and not very unique. But for some people, I think this is very important to hear. So as you can see, we have one major problem in this code. First of all, it has no comments. If I didn't write this code and I see it for the first time, I'm not very sure that I would understand what I'm seeing here. Though the function names are pretty self-explanatory, I don't have any idea what every function here does, what other function it calls, where it gets its imports and dependencies. So it's just, if it's not my code, I will probably have to investigate a long time before I understand what's going on here. Another thing that happens here is that I didn't follow the first rule of code, which is dry. Dry is a phenomenon for don't repeat yourself. And as you can see here, I'm repeating myself constantly. Instead of using, in this case, I'm showing you example of React.js code, but everything that I'm saying here is true for any other programming language. And when you submit your projects, keep in mind that we will take a good look at the code that you're submitting. And if you make it easier for us to understand what we're seeing, it will make it easier for you to get a higher score. So this is a bad example of repetitive code. Instead of providing my button components and my text input components the same props, I'm throwing them into each one of them separately. I'm providing inline styling parameters and values, and I'm not explaining anything that's going on here. So this is not terrible code, but it's okay code. It's not great. But take a look at this component. This component is a great example of great code. Why? First of all, I have comments on almost each line that explains what's going on in each function and in each class. The namings of the functions are self-explanatory, so I know what's going on, so at least I can get a grip of what's going on when they are invoked. I'm also using, as you can see, I'm using functional components and React hooks. This is a good example of using up-to-date methods. I could have used the old, in this case, React.js. I could have used the old way that functions were used with component did mount and component is loading and all the class components that were used up until, I don't know, 2016 or 2018, I think. But these days, the industry is using functional components and state components and React hooks. So I'm not a big savvy of Python or other programming languages, but when you're choosing your technologies, make sure that you're using something up to date. Another good example of good code is a code that helps the user that helps both the user and the developer in its dev tool. environment, in this case, in the browser. So as you can see, we have a console log here that lets the developer and the end user know when they take a look at it in the browser that everything here went well. Why? Because we have the console log here. So these are just basic tips of how to maintain good code, but keep them in mind, okay? Now let's get back to the presentation. I think that I already know how to do this now. I need to change my window view, right? Yes. So we're back. Not here, sorry. I will need to do this. No, sorry. Can you see my screen now again, or you're still seeing the code? You're still seeing the code.
Yeah, it's still the code.
Okay, okay. But now you're seeing the presentation again. Okay, thank you. So we talked about the code base, and now it takes us to the fourth pillar. Remember, we had the fourth pillar, which was superb documentation. So we're gonna do this shortly because I think I'm already taking a lot of the time. Now, having a well-written documentation is an essential part of any project. It not only helps others understand how your project works and how to use it, but it also makes it easier to maintain and update in the future. Well-written documentation should be clear, concise, and easy to understand. It should include information on how to install and set up the project, how to use it, and any known limitations or bugs. It's also okay to mention them. It's also important to keep the documentation up to date with the latest changes and updates to the project, but this shouldn't bother you as you submit the project for the first time, of course. Now, having a good documentation can also make it easier for others to contribute to your project if you're gonna share it as an open source one, whether it's by fixing bugs, adding new features, or simply understanding how it works. In addition, a good documentation can help to attract more users and contributors to your project. It can also make it more attractive for employers, and organizations, and investors, as it reflects the project maintainer's attention to detail and ability to communicate effectively, which is always important. So in summary, well-written documentation is crucial for the success of a project. It helps others understand how to use and contribute to a project and makes it easier to maintain and update in the future. It's an investment that pays off in the long run, you know? Now, having that said, in this hackathon, you are only required to provide a detailed README file, okay? You don't need to build a whole documentation in a separate domain unless you want to, but I would focus on just maintaining a good README file. I'll show you an example of a good README file in a second that covers the essential parts of your project. I went back. I'm sorry, 1 second. Previous. Sorry about this. Beautiful code. Okay, great documentation. Let me show you an example of an amazing documentation in my perspective. LangChain is a Python library that I just came across a few days ago, and it blew me off the window, really. In short, I'm not going to elaborate on the library itself. You're all welcome to go in and see it. I will share the link later. Someone was really creative and found a way to chain a few large language models and AI21 Studio, the Jurassic 1 models among them together. So when people want to incorporate a few or many large language models together in their application, they can use this library to do so. But this is not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this beautiful README file. It's not just beautiful and appealing in my perspective. Maybe you will think maybe you will think otherwise, but it covers the essential parts and the essential meaning of this library. When I approached this library for the first time, immediately I understood how to use it and what it can bring me, and what I can do to use it in my own applications. It explains exactly what this is. It explains how to install it. It can send me to the real documentation. They also have a great domains documentation, but I'm not going to cover it here because it's too much. But it explains all the parts in it and what they mean. This library is made of chains and agents and memory evaluation, and it even explains what I need to do to contribute, even though it's pretty easy to comprehend, but it still explains what I need to do to contribute to this library if I want to. So as you can see, it's nothing special. This is just a one-pager README that explains all the parts of the library itself, how to use it, what are the main components, and how it is beneficial for me. If your submitted project will include a README in this level, you can all rest assured that it will affect the way that we evaluate your project. So keep this in mind, okay? Let's return to the slideshow and let's wrap it up. Let me just put this on full screen. Okay, so let's wrap this up, shall we? It was, I know it was a little long, I'm sorry. So in conclusion, building a great project starts with a unique and imaginative idea, but it doesn't stop there. The key components that make up the foundation of a successful project are an innovative concept, its usefulness, beautiful and readable code, and well-written documentation. Remember to think outside the box, embrace the spirit of creativity and innovation, and push the boundaries of what you think is possible. Keep in mind that the possibilities with generative AI are endless, and the goal of this hackathon is to showcase the potential of this technology. Now, as you begin brainstorming and planning your projects, keep in mind the importance of addressing real-world issues, relieving real pain points, and enhancing existing functionalities. Make sure that your code is well-structured, readable, up-to-date with the latest technologies. And don't forget about documentation. It is crucial for your project's long-term success and how we evaluate your submission. I believe that every single one of you has the potential to come up with something truly groundbreaking. So let's embrace the spirit of creativity and innovation and show the world what we can do with Jurassic 1 models. And let's start this hackathon and create something truly outstanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, let me make my screen better. Cool. Thank you for your talk, and it was extremely useful, especially this part of documentation. Completely agree, because we really forget to mention on kickoff stream and usually on the hackathon that the good and well-structured documentation is critical to have a successful project, because everybody of us
people always forget to add documentation to the project. This is my 5th or 6th hackathon that I'm participating as a mentor. And I remember the first hackathon, we got so many submissions of excellent projects, but it took us so long to understand what's going on there because they were not documented properly. So guys, remember to document everything.
Extremely agree with you. And I have a question for you, just from my side. Did you participate in hackathon, or you were just a mentor?
I haven't participated as a participant, as a contester in a hackathon. I did participate in a few hackathons that happened within organizations that I worked for in the past, but not in an open hackathon with prizes like this one.
All right. I was just curious, is all of these tips was used by you during the hackathon, or just from your mentor experience? So you see the lack of some elements in the project you just shared with us.
That's a great question. This presentation was all the contents of it. I gathered them from my experience as a mentor. I eventually when we evaluate a project, we just need to, there are two things that we always consider when we're trying to look at them from the end user perspective, and it's how innovative it is, how unique, how creative, whatever you decide to call it, and how it serves me as an end user. I mean, these are the things that I mentioned before. It has to be an innovative concept, and it has to be definitely useful. And as mentors, and as people who evaluate the project, we need to understand the bits and pieces of it. And this is where good code and good documentation comes in place. So I decided to focus on these four things. And I'm not even talking about UI or design, because I know that usually in a short time of, in this case, 7 days, it's hard to build the whole functionality and focus on UI. So I'm not saying that we won't evaluate those things as well, but they aren't as important for us as the functionality and the innovative and the innovation behind it, and the useful of it, and the great code and the great documentation.
Thank you. All right. I have a question from the chat, and for the end, I have a question from my side regarding your do's and don'ts that you mentioned in the beginning. Let me start
Sure.
with chat. So you show us the first game in like project cases, and the question was: is the game itself a project which is using a certain model, or should we focus on just the model itself? Probably it's the question regarding API, right? So if I get this correctly.
So I'm not sure that I understand the question. I think it mentions the AI dungeon, the first example that they showed. I'm talking about this. I gave this as an example just to show how you can incorporate Jurassic 1 models to do something that reveals a real pain. There, I'm not focusing on a specific API here, on a specific endpoint. Jurassic 1 models have several APIs and several models. You can use the large model, you can use the grande, you can use jumbo, you can use instruct, and you can use several different endpoints depending on the project that you choose to create, that you can incorporate in your project. I hope it answers the question. If you understood something differently from it, then I'll elaborate accordingly.
Yeah, if it comes just to this hackathon, I just want to mention that we need to use AI21 Studio API for creating projects. So here you mostly need to focus on the project created based on the model, but not on the model itself. So if it was the question regarding this hackathon. And I see just one more question regarding Streamlit, because you showed some other app, right, that helps you build the code and make a demo. So Streamlit and Replit that we mentioned during kickoff stream, it's just information for everybody who's watching us now. It was recommended by us because we know these apps, we know these companies, so we can recommend it. And if you have some others app and you decided that it's good to build then demos on it, and it's okay for you to host this demo for some time there, that's fine. So you may use whatever you want. We just have our recommendation, and you for sure may use the app that Yotam just recommended us during the talk as well. And here I see really a lot of thank you so much, very well laid and clear, beautiful presentation. It was really interesting. And let me just tell a question from my side. You had this do's and don'ts regarding making from good project really great one. And I'm just interested, is it really, can I call the project great if it don't have for business value, business, perspectives, and you don't think about commercializing the project? Can I call it great?
Definitely. The short answer is yes. We're not going to evaluate the projects by their commercial value. They can be totally, useless in terms of monetization. One of the examples that they showed was CoachMe, the chatbot that was created by Harmby. This Harmby is a governmental organization that that is not focused on monetization at all. It just helps people land their first job. They're not making any money. So it's just something for the greater good. But having that said, even a Rick and Morty generator that is absolutely has no use in the real world, but making people laugh, that's also okay. As long as you find a unique and creative way to incorporate the Jurassic 1 models into your project, and you're doing something that no one thought of before, then from my experience in the tech industry, down the road, someone will find a way to make money out of it, or someone will find a way to tweak it a little bit to make it useful in another way. But we're not going to evaluate any projects by its commercial potential or anything of that sort. Of course not.
Well, in first, yes, mission of the project to go first. All right, and basically that's it. I don't see anything specific from the chat as well. Just I had a question in mind. Could you tell us some top mistakes that people make in terms of like coming up with idea when you have this discussion with people of their ideas, their concept they want to build with? Maybe you have some like the most common mistakes. I just explained why I'm asking this. Now we're on the stage when people usually came up with their ideas and they want to discuss it with mentors. Maybe you have some, like top mistake that better to avoid in this stage.
Well, back in the presentation, you know what? I see that my presentation screen is still shared here. So let me just go back to the beginning for a second, where I'm mentioning the don'ts, because they explain exactly. The don'ts here are referring to the parts where people are choosing their subjects for the projects. Now, this is I chose these three don'ts. This is the do's actually. I'm sorry. Here are the don'ts. Here they are. Now, as a mentor in previous hackathons, I found myself staring at many great submissions many great projects that were submitted that we had to evaluate in short, that we couldn't give like the highest score because people were just taking like concepts that were created so many times before that you can find so many variations of them online, and they didn't show us anything new. Sometimes they just rebuilt it with their code, and everything else was great. The code was great, the documentation could have been great, the presentation was amazing, but eventually they just provided us with something that many people already did before them. So this is why I told you, this is why I said keep it in mind and don't overcomplicate. People have these amazing ideas that they are worth working on, but they forget that they only have limited time to submit their project. Sometimes the hackathons are 24 hours, 48 hours. In this case, it's a whole week. So it gives you so in 7 days you can do a lot, especially teams where you have many skilled people. I'm sure that you can do a lot in 7 days, but evaluate the things that you want to focus on and work on beforehand, because if you're trying to create a product that has too many features and functionalities, you find yourself eventually with so many loose ends that you're submitting something that you're not happy with, that you're not feeling complete with, and it reflects eventually on the score. I'm saying, and the last thing was, don't hesitate to think big. But when I'm saying, maybe that's a good time to explain what I mean here. Think big, not in terms of huge projects. Okay, huge project usually has will eventually have too many loose ends because it has many features and it combines many APIs and it has so much functionality going on in it, and you don't even eventually before you submit it, you don't know where it starts and where it ends. This is not what I mean when I'm saying think big. When I'm saying think big, think about AI Dungeon, for example. I'm not saying that people should now create a language model driven D&D game, but when they decided, the guys in Latitude, the creators of this game, when they decided to run this project as their hackathon submission, I'm pretty sure that they already had in mind that this thing that they're working on now, they probably started with something very small when they submitted it. But I'm sure that they thought about how they can expand it into the monster that it is now. So think big in terms of what you can do with your project in the future. A Rick and Morty episode generator is not a good example of think big because this is pretty much it. It's a Rick and Morty episode generator. Think big in terms of how you can scale your project later down the road. This hackathon gives you, and every hackathon actually, gives you the potential to take something that you start small as an MVP and then expand it into something bigger that can be your life project.
I completely agree with you on this point, and I have even very good case to share. Even from lablab hackathons, we have one team that's on every hackathon called mental health, and there is a girl who usually team leader there, and she have the mission to make mental health accessible to everybody through AI. So it's like think big; it's a big picture for her. And every hackathon, they creating like some small part of, or it's a chatbot, or it's some like generator. So it can be like the part of really big picture to change everybody's life using AI for mental health. And yeah, it's very easy to check if people really think big regarding their project and they have a real plans to build something more than just one hackathon project as well. Thank you for this point.
Yeah.
Thank you a lot for this talk. Really, it was very thoughtful and insightful for me even. And I hope everybody also enjoyed it. And I'm sure they enjoyed it. And how can we contact with you right after the talk? How people can keep in touch with you?
Well, I'm going to be available on Discord, on lablab Discord. People can always tag me by my name. I don't mind being tagged. And and for those who are listening now, if you find it hard to get a grip on us, on the mentors, on the AI21 Labs mentors, if you find it hard to get a grip on us in the lablab Discord server, you can always try to find us on the AI21 Studio server. We will share the link here. We even have a channel that we created just for this hackathon there. I'm sure that the traffic will be less hectic there. So if you write to us over there, we will probably see it. And I'm here throughout the week, so feel free to approach anytime.
Very good. Thank you so much for this talk, and I was happy to talk to you. And we are move on to the next talk. And before this, let me check. Thank you so much. Let me just answer for the question I have in the chat. It's regarding the hackathon. So how much time should we dedicate to the hackathon? And the person just described that they are on university or work. So the answer here is it's completely up to you. So just make sure that you will have enough time to complete your project and divide tasks very well, so everybody can spend around an hour or how much they can actually spend on the hackathon. So there is no limitation. There is nothing specific. We ask you like some specific time. We ask you to be dedicated. So that's just up to you. And yeah, there is no more questions. Nasty, are we ready to
yes,
announce the next talk?
Yes, hi everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am Nasty. I am a Discord manager at New Native. Probably you already met me on Discord. Me and Alessia, we will help you during our events. So feel free to tag us and feel free to use tag mentor. So then we will quickly can understand that you need help and redirect you to right mentor. And let me tell you what we will have next. And we will have now a building life workshop, how to build an application using AI21 Labs tools together with our developer Fabian. And after that, we will have a workshop with me. It will be something like I will show you in live. I will share with you my screen and I will show you how our Discord server looks like from admin perspective. I will show you how we can notify your calling for help and how we can help you. And as well as I will show you our lablab.ai platform and how we can create a team, how we can change our profile setting, etc. So stay with us, and I would like to invite Fabian to the stage
Let's see.
Yeah. Do we have?
Hello and welcome everybody. Today we will build a blog article generator with the help of AI21. So let's get started. First, I already created this new file right here. And in order to get some idea of what we will be building, there are a lot of really great examples here on the AI21 Studio. Let's search for paragraph generation. So this is what I was looking for. And with this particular example, you can give the AI one section heading, and then the section or the paragraph gets generated for this specific heading. So the idea is just to feed in, let's say, for example, 5 different titles, and then get an entire blog article generated for these 5 titles. So let's get started right here. First, we will create a new dictionary with 5 different titles. So let's call it paragraph titles. And in here, we can just add whatever we would like. So for example, I will go with the topic dogs. So how can I train my dog? And then with the help of Copilot, we can also generate another few right here. How can I train my cat? Okay, let's say, how can I keep my dog healthy? Then let's go with getting a new dog. That also sounds interesting. And let's go with how can I teach my dog to sit? Okay, so right here we have 4 paragraph titles. For now, let's do it like this example right here and generate 1 paragraph for each title. So in order to do that, we first have to iterate over these titles and then generate the paragraph for each one. So we can say something like, for title and paragraph titles, print title. And this, we can already run this, and this will just print out each title. But what we actually want here is actually generate a paragraph. So for now, we can use this playground to get some code that we can use in our small project. So for now, let's say generate a paragraph for a blog article about dogs. And then let's say current title is, and here we will add in the title dynamically at the end. And then we will say something like text for this, or let's say paragraph for this title. Now we can do a nice, really neat thing. We can just click here to show the code, and it will show the code for this example that we created right here. You can also choose different languages or use curl to use it directly from the command line. But for now, we will go with Python. First, let's copy this request import and move it at the top of our file. And I'm currently doing this in this notebook, but you can also do this in any Python script. This is just easier to use and run multiple times for multiple different articles. And then let's copy the second part here, where the actual generation is happening. And now what we want is for each title to generate a paragraph. So this is already looking pretty interesting. Let's switch out our title right here. So I will use f strings in Python to add the title from the loop here. And in order to actually get the response, we can just save this response as a variable and then print it out at the end. So we can say something like print, or we first need to convert it from JSON. So let's say data is res.json, and then let's print out data, and Copilot is here already knowing what we're looking for. So we only want the completion and, for example, not everything else that comes with this response. Yeah, so for now we can actually test this. Let's see, let's run the import request first and then generate each paragraph for this title. And you can see that we still need to pass in our API key, and you can find your API key on this AI21 Studio. You would simply click here on your small profile, go to account. We don't want to save these changes for now. And now we can just copy this API key. If you're doing this by yourself, please don't share the API key with anyone because this should stay private. And let's just paste it in here. And now we can just run it again. Let's see if something's happening. And you can already see that there are some paragraphs being generated right here. So what we can do now to actually have a better output is also print each title before the paragraph is generated. So we can do here title. And so that we know when the paragraph ended, we can just say something like print and then add like these dashes here. So yeah, let's run it again. Okay, it's always printing these titles at the top here. Interesting. Yeah, and then we have like the small paragraph. We can try to increase the length of this text by first increasing the tokens right here. And if you want, you can actually add some examples to this prompt right here in order to get a specific text length. So for now, what we can actually add is, because you have to put in some work actually coming up with these paragraph titles right here. So we can just use AI21 to come up with these titles with basically no effort. And what you can simply do is go back to the playground and go for something like generate 10 paragraph titles for blog article about, and then here the topic at the end, and this will also be dynamically added in our code. So we can just copy and paste this again. Yeah, let's do it at the top right here. Just paste. And now we have to dynamically add the topic. So in order to have a better readability right here, we can just say something like topic is let's say for now cars, and then we can just add this topic right here. Yeah, and then just like at the bottom, let's just save the response in an object and then print out, or first we have to convert it to JSON. So data is res.json. And then we can print out data, what exactly was it right here? Data completions. All right, it's looking good. We still have to add the API key. I will just copy it from down here. Let's run this. Yeah, and so now we have like these, it's not exactly 10 paragraph titles, but like I already said, you can simply add like some examples at the beginning of each prompt, and then you will actually have better results. So I can also show you this. Generate. So right here we have cars, and in front of this we can actually say the same thing, but about, let's go with dogs again, and let's go with 5. And now we will just use how to feed your dog healthy, how to train your dog, how do dogs communicate, let's say different dog breeds. And the 5th one can be what do dogs hate, for example. Yeah, let's just show the code again for this. I will just copy this single line because this is the only thing we modified. Let's go to this in the code, paste it in here. Now we have to switch out this topic at the end. So this is again topic. And this was prompt. Let's make this an F string. And now that we added actually these examples, we told the model to actually what to do, or we gave it better instructions what to do. And now there will be also 5 topics generated for the topic cars. Okay, that's interesting. There's probably some mistake here. We're adding the topic at the end. Let's look at the code again. Prompt. Let's print this out in another way. We can increase this max tokens because 200 isn't really a lot. So now it's working. So yeah, and like you can see, we now have 5 different paragraph titles, and we can use these as inspiration to add to our dictionary right here. So we can just do this right now. So we will have one article about dogs and one article about cars. And yeah, let's say how to buy a car. And I will add one keyword right here to get longer generations. Yeah, so we switched out the paragraph titles, and now we can just run this again and generate a paragraph for each paragraph title. And down here you can see that we're looping over each title and we're getting a small little paragraph for each title. And you can just copy paste this from here and put it on your social network or blog, basically wherever you want. I hope this tutorial was useful to you. I highly recommend checking out AI21. Their playground is great. They have a lot of good use case examples right here. Yeah, and I hope this was helpful to you and you were able to learn something today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.
Wow, thank you, Fabian.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alessia. Thank you, Fabian. That was actually great. I hope you learned something new for yourself. And I also put the link to these workshops, to all of our workshops, to our section tutorials. So I will show you again this. I will show you the section now. And guys, now we will have a workshop with me. I would like to show you our Discord server and lablab.ai page. I'm sharing my screen now. Could you please guys confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, we
Great.
can. And probably I'm leaving you, right, for this workshop?
Yes.
I will be here for questions. Okay.
Yeah, guys, if you will have questions, this is a great time. If you have all questions regarding Discord, regarding lablab.ai platform, please ask on our Twitch comment, and Alessia
I'll be happy to.
will
Yeah,
read it. Thanks.
thank you.
Okay, so here, guys, you will see our Discord server, and I will quickly introduce you all our channels and all our section. So first of all, when you join our server, you will find the rules. Here is our rules for our servers, so yeah, you can read them, and then you will go to Discord navigation, but I would like to navigate you with myself. Here our team introduction, so you may see tags of all people that working with us. Here is a main channel with announcement. You may see here all important information regarding our upcoming events, regarding our upcoming activities, hackathons, regarding hackathons. So here is only announcement. And lablab general channel, it's a general channel for all of you guys, not for dedicated hackathons, but for all people that joined us. You may write here everything you want, some questions, some ideas, maybe you have some feedback. Also, you can write and put it here. We will jump and help you to answer on your question. You may see myself, Nasty. Also, you can meet Olesya on Discord. You can meet Matthias, it's our founder. Simon, our partner manager. It's Pavel, our also co-founder of LabLab. So they also can write something in our channels, and you also can ask them questions if you have some questions, of course. Here we have AI forum, and I really like this section because here you can share with your favorite AI technologies and model. We really want to know your opinion, your favorite models, because we want to implement more hackathons, and we really need this information from you. Here you can share first experience with artificial intelligence, feedback. You may write here your feedback and your suggestions for us, and share your AI favorite generated images. I really like this section because here you may see really really interesting, really amazing images created by AI. So yeah, feel free to share with your images. And as we hear, I will show you playground already, where you can generate the images. Here when we scroll down, you will find playground and the image transformers. So to generate images, just put /image, yeah, and prompt wherever you want, wherever you want, so you can write and generate some cool images. So that's it. And also we have here some game. You can also try it, but before to try this, before this you can you have to put this emoji. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, then we will scroll down a little bit, and you will find section in welcome. Here in channel introduce yourself, you can introduce you, write there about your background, your experience, and if you are a programmer, I also create a channel for programmers. Here we have empty space because it's only created, but if you are a programmer, you can also introduce yourself here and write your professional skills. Promo and projects channel, it's a channel for your projects. If you create some really interesting app, you have some experience, you may share with it here. So you may find some projects of our participants, you may see, you may try them to use. So feel free to share this cool stuff here. Okay, when we scroll a little bit down, we have section happening now. This section for hackathon that we have now at this moment. And now we have AI21 Labs hackathon. So it's a general channel for this hackathon. So all questions regarding this hackathon, please put it there, write it there. You may also write here everything, like here, guy share with his team, so you may write him if you want to join his team. That's it. And here when we scroll a little bit down, upcoming hackathons, this is a hackathons that we will have in future. We will have Cohere hackathon, and we will have OpenAI hackathon. So this is not for now, it's upcoming. So this channel also we can use only for dedicated hackathon. And looking for a team, here we have a section for those who are looking for a team or looking for a members. So if you are, for example, created already a team and you need a members, you can introduce your team here, pasting the link to your team and invite members to your team. And also, if you are looking for a team, you may introduce yourself, write about yourself, about your skills, how you can be useful in your team. Maybe, for example, you can be useful from business perspective, for like designer or organizational questions. Organizational process, it's also good, so you may introduce yourself here and someone invite you to the team. And also you may see when me, for example, or Olesya, from time to time we try to team up to tag some people who are looking for a team, and we in this case we try to help you to create a new team. When, for example, someone looking for a team, we can tag you and propose to you to team up together. So it's also a good idea. So if we are tagging you, don't worry, we just wanted to help you. And here section education, we have here tutorials. Please find tutorials for AI21 Labs, new to AI. So if you have some suggestions how to start your experience with AI, please write here. Maybe you can help someone. And how to start, here I shared with you a guideline. Please, if you don't know how to start totally, what you joined our server, you enrolled to the hackathon, and you don't know what you should do, please write the guideline, and it's really useful. You will understand all the process. We will scroll a little bit down, section questions. Here we have questions: AI general, I need help questions, programming questions, bugs, and Discord questions. So if you have some questions, please also you can write them here. You can meet from time to time. For example, I will show you Laszlo. Laszlo is our developer, and Fabian also is our developer. They can help you with programming questions, and also you can meet. I will show you. Jakub, I can't find him, but I will tag him. You may understand. Okay, Jakub. Oh, yeah. It's also our developer, so you can also tag him to and write some questions. But feel free if you have some programming question, or just like questions regarding API and something like that. You can also write them here, and we will notice it and help you. Section knowledge. I really like this section. Here we have books. If you have some good examples of books regarding AI, share with us. We will really thank you for that. Articles. Here you may find different articles regarding AI. Memes, one of my favorite channel. I really like it. Yeah, if you are bored, if you are tired, so go to this channel and have fun a little bit. AI news. Here I'm sharing with you also with different news, podcast, and videos. So yeah, playground I already showed you, and here I will show you how it looks like from from my perspective, our server, from admin perspective. Here we will have community voice. You have access to this community voice, open voice 1 and open voice 2. We will have next week interviews with us. So I will ask you jump to the open voice 1, or for example when we will have a winner announcement stream, I also will ask teams jump to the open voice 1 or open voice 2. You will now you see where it is. So if I ask you jump to open voice 1, jump it here. You know where it is. And here we have stage. This is stage only for us, for admins. When we go live, when for example we will have interview and we will go live, I will invite you from the open voice 1 to the stage. Okay, here we have section previous hackathon. You don't need this section, but if you are interested in how it was, you may also go to some of previous hackathon and, for example, looking for see the previous winning project, something like that. Okay, I will close it. Here is labs, we don't need it. And also from admin perspective, we have something like for mentors. If some of team, if you are using calling for help, so here we have a notification. So I see that team Iridium needs help now, so I can notice it and I will help you as well, my mentors also. So please, bottom calling for help is really useful. I recommend you to use it. And okay, and here we have our voice channels, Teams voice channels. So yeah, I have an access to all of them. You have access to your team voice channel, and that's it. And here we have all our upcoming events. You may see them. I think that's it regarding Discord. So if you have some questions, feel free to ask me. And I would like to go now to the
Nasty,
lablab.ai. Yes,
may I interrupt you with the question in the chat?
of course. Yes, of course.
Here is the question from the person: where can we find the AI21 Discord channel created for this hackathon? Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe they are asking about AI21, like their Discord server.
Okay, their Discord server. I guess they have their server. I will
Yeah,
ask.
they just told they was talking to us regarding this, so I can share it with you in the chat for everybody who is like
Yeah,
seeing us
we
now.
may,
So I will
if
share
you
it in the
want,
chat.
if you want, we may add their channel to labs. Here,
Yes,
we
would
will
be
have,
cool.
yeah, will be good. We will have here Cohere, OpenAI, and at
Great.
AI21 as well. Yes. Yeah, great. Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, you will find this their channel here. No, not channel, server, I can say. Okay. Any questions, Alessia? That's all?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Good.
That's it for
Okay.
now.
So, guys, now we will go to our lablab.ai page, and when we go here to the hackathon, you will find all our upcoming hackathon, and here is our finished events. So you can also go through that. If you would like to see also some projects, you may go to the hackathon, to the event page, scroll down, and I will show you winner submissions, first place, second place, the third place, and also all other submitted projects. So if you would like to see how the projects should looks like, go to the submission and learn more, and you will find you may see the project. Okay, we will go to AI Hackathon, and now we have AI21 Labs Hackathon. So we are here. We already enrolled. So we are going to dashboard, and this is the page for mentor. If you would like to be on our mentor, click here, and you will find more information. Here we have teams. So you may find, first of all, teams that are looking for members, and then you can contact them directly. Okay, and if you would like to create your own team, click here. Let's create a team. Test. Okay, you can download image here, create a team. Okay, and now we are created a team, and I can't create a dedicated channel on Discord because I am alone. So I need teammate to have a dedicated voice channel. But it's okay if you would like to participate solo. It's possible, so you can create team here, and that's it. But then you don't need a dedicated channel on Discord. You just can use general channel for AI21 labs. If you want Discord, and you should have minimum 2 members. So yeah, that's it. We created a team. You may paste here some information. You may here invite your teams. Here, if you click here, you will have a link. So copy this link, and yeah, introduce your team in our dedicated channels. Here we have happening now, or looking for a team is better. So paste here your team and introduce your team. Or for example, you are looking for some members. For example, you're looking for a programmer or designer, something like that. So yes, that's it. Maybe you have some questions regarding the lablab platform. And yes, to create a team, you have to be a leader. So yeah, you can
There is
setting. Yes, Olesya, I'm here. Olesya, can you
yes,
hear me, guys? Great.
I can.
Okay,
No,
so
no,
that's for some reason I can hear you, Olesya, very well. Okay, Olesya, can you repeat, please? For some reason I can hear you very well.
Maybe just there is no questions in the chat. Internet issues. I was talking that there is no more questions in the
Okay.
chat, and I guess we can just close the stream for now.
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us, and I'm really enjoyed to meet and to have you all of you here on Discord. As I mentioned before, feel free to tag me or Olesya for helping you. I wish you good luck, and we will see you together next week during our interviews. So yeah, have a good time, and see you next week on our Twitch. Thank you so much.